The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to 5 and 15, a webinar series from Charleston Norway where we promise to give you 5 useful, interesting, important, perhaps even compelling ideas that you can use in your work, all within the constraints of a 15-minute webinar, because we know you are busy. We'll have about 10, 11 minutes on the content of some new research, and then another 4 or 5 for some questions. So please use that chat pane to send us your questions, and we'll get to them. And at the end of all this, we'll send you the presentation along with the Q&A, so you don't have to worry about that. If there are any other questions, please email me at mark.g@charlestonnorway.com. I'm the CEO of Charleston Norway, a 100% employee-owned ESOP. We're really proud of that, and we focus as an agency on strategic marketing and communications. So end of commercial, let's jump into it. Today, food safety. What are Americans' perceptions of that? 5 key points. Well, all of us know where some of the concerns come from. Salmonella. I just saw this morning that the romaine lettuce industry is still reeling 20% off from that recall 6 months ago. Increasingly now, we even see it on pet foods. So no wonder people are concerned. Our research, a national survey, 500 consumers, so it's projectable statistically. All demographics across America. A slight skew toward women over men. We often find that with food research because women, for whatever reason, seem to be a little bit more interested than men. How did this idea, the public awareness of food safety, really start? Arguably 1906 with the publication by a normative book. It caused laws to be changed, laws that are still in effect to this day related to food safety. So kind of the public consciousness goes back to that time. Our study, some takeaways, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into each of these. First of all, Americans say cooking at home, safest food. About a quarter, actually a little bit more than 25% of Americans, and this should be concerning if you work in agriculture and food, across the food industry anywhere, unsure about the safety, the integrity of our food supply. If you're communicating to these audiences, stratified media, so you have to look at how you're going to reach them strategically. This next one could be a bit of a lightning rod, and remember, this is just us reporting on America, what America thinks, but we'll get into what people think are the safest and riskiest foods, and then talk a little bit about some of the perceptions consumers have, how they want assurance in their food supply. So the first one we'll dig into, that happy family on the top. Americans say that's the safest place to eat. This gentleman at the food, that. Break it down, pretty high confidence in restaurants, meaning I walk in, I get escorted to a table, sit down with the menu, somebody waits on me, pretty high confidence. Food trucks, public vendors, 42% feel that that's a little bit of a risky eat. Just 29% have high confidence in public food. So those nachos at the football game, Americans not so sure about that, even though they order them. Now, in terms of the overall food system, 27%, more than a quarter, unsure. Now, those hot dogs, if you cook them correctly, actually are probably pretty safe. Digging down into this just a little bit more. If I say, do you have trust in the integrity of the American food system, agriculture, all the way out to restaurant, food I'm going to eat at home, 48% say the industry, they trust it. Less than half, 27% no. That should be pretty alarming that in this day and age, 2018, fewer than half of people have trust in the safety of the integrity of the food system. Now, let's dive a little deeper. How about compared to 10 years ago? Well, if you talk to food scientists and people who work in this field, our food is actually safer than 10 years ago. Yet only 35% of Americans say so. That skews a little bit older. An alarming 32% say it's less than safe. Curiously, among the people that we talked to or we surveyed who said they had had a foodborne illness among this group, they break out about the same as those two numbers you see. Sources of information stratified by age, 18 to 34, social media. So if you're trying to reach out for a positive message, for a recall message, social media to get that group. On the other side, traditional media, 65 or more, TV networks, CNN, USA Today, online, offline, those sorts of things. And the middle, the spectrum going from a little bit more of those traditional sources to probably on the left-hand side there, things like maybe New Food Economy, a digital food industry agricultural magazine that I happen to subscribe to. All ages, however, a close second to media, influencers, friends, family, co-workers. What are the safest and riskiest foods? When I look at this, I go, I'd eat any of that. What does America say? Well, before we dive into that, let's look a little bit on what's happening in relation to how to make sure that we have traceability to ensure the integrity and actually quickly get to the bottom of recalls. So last year, right about this time, Cargill was announcing blockchain technology prior to Thanksgiving, tracing back turkeys. Recently, September 24th, produce industry looking at how to trace back. If you think about that romaine recall, it went on for months, and other than getting it to Arizona, eventually, nobody knew where that product had actually come from. So if you're in this industry, you need to know about blockchain. It's not just cryptocurrency. America says safest foods, grains, beans, pasta, fresh fruit and vegetables. America says, not me, not Charles Norway, America says riskiest meat and poultry, leafy greens. If you just write now, actually don't do it right now, wait till we're done, Google food safety or recall, those products are going to come up. That's why people are thinking that. Now, we also know that there's a lot of promotion about this type of thing. Here from Pinterest, but from Women's Health magazine. For instance, publications like this are publishing lists of what might be unsafe for you to eat. Consumers ultimately want assurance in the safety of their food supply. Our study had one metric, here's another one, 33% of consumers say they don't have high trust. What would give them trust? Well, 56% say USDA and FDA certifications would give confidence in the food supply. So people want to pick up a package and have it say the USDA, the FDA certifies that this food followed certain safety protocols. Women and age 55 and older skew a little bit higher toward wanting this. All agencies, all ages want greater transparency, ability to drill down to the farm, if you will, to have assurance that food was produced with integrity and so they can trust the safety. Ages 18 to 34 value transparency more than any kind of government certification. So let's do a quick review here. People believe safest at home. A lot of uncertainty about the safety, having trust in the food system. If you're going to communicate positively, or very importantly in the case of a recall, you better look at the different media platforms because you're going to have to use many to get to all your audiences. What people think safe and risky, and consumers want assurance. We all do, right? We all want a safe food supply. What can you do? Well, certainly if you're producing, processing, work with industry on best practices, associations, hire consultants. We've worked with clients who have done this to conduct an audit to make sure that on the up and up, train your employees. And unfortunately, if you should be faced with a crisis, and in this industry, you better be ready, you need a crisis communications plan. To that end, we did a webinar just a couple months ago on that information. Email me, and I'll show you that email again at the end. I'll be happy to send you the public or the information and the PowerPoint, and we won't bug you. So thank you. That's the core part of the research, and we will send all of this to you. Now, how about some questions that people had about this? Question number one: don't you think activists promote food safety issues as a way to undermine certain industries? Well, two things here. One, if there's a recall, we have to be very aggressive because we need to get information out to people to preserve their health and in some cases even prevent a death. But then yes, some groups who might be opposed to an industry, a product, can jump on that and try to make more of it. What you need to do is to make sure that there's evidence available for you if someone were to search you on your website, your sustainability program, on the integrity of your supply. Another question: are people concerned about some specific foodborne illnesses more than others? Yes, they are. Top three concerns in order: E. coli, Salmonella, Listeria. Certainly because we're seeing things most often about those, whereas Campylobacter, number 4, a little bit more distant, not seeing quite as much out there. Third question: was there anything that surprised you about the research? I don't know if anything in the research surprises me ever, but I find it fascinating. One thing I found really amusing is that in terms of credibility for providing information on food safety, celebrities and celebrity chefs scored lowest. So maybe people are looking for recipe ideas, but they're not looking for food safety information from celebrity chefs. And then here's one: food eaten at work from a cafeteria or food service in the workplace was considered next safest after home sit-down restaurant food at work from a cafeteria. There's a question here on what labels or terms give consumers the highest feeling of trust. For instance, on safety: organic, natural, hormone-free. We actually did some research, a separate study. If you want to ping me, I'll email you that research about consumer perceptions of food labels and what drives them to make purchase decisions. Another question: do you have any statistics on pet food? Well, yes, we do. Just one, but we have it. Only 11% of Americans think pet food is very safe, and 25% think that it is unsafe. So that's pretty interesting. So even less confidence in pet food than other things. Do I think the food system is safe? Yeah, I think it's extremely safe, and research would bear that out. One of the things happening here is that in recent years, a little bit longer than recent years, but food safety or a recall or something, foodborne illness, used to be very regionalized. It really never got beyond a community. Then local county health departments roll up to states, roll up to national, and so now there is much better tracking of these kinds of things. And it's not just the 24-hour bug. It's like, nah, this person had a foodborne illness. There's better testing for that. And then the other thing that happens is there's instant promotion of that, even if it is very localized. Regardless, on just an overall basis, our food system is very safe in America. Agriculture, the food industry have done a great job of that. Why would older Americans think food is safer than younger Americans? Probably because they have more faith in institutions, and also perhaps because maybe they're not getting pinged quite as often on their phone with news alerts if there is a problem. A question here, and then we're running out of time. Sorry, but we will take these other questions that we haven't gotten to, put them together, and send them to you so you can see them. What is the likelihood of implementing some sort of federal food safety label, including cooking temperatures, not washing poultry, etc.? Well, there certainly are guidelines, and associations have been doing a great job on trying to work, especially with cooking temperature and cleanliness, some guidelines. Federal legislation on that is going to be very difficult. First of all, you'd have to get everybody to agree, and I know that there are going to be powerful forces within these industries wanting to get that information out themselves versus having a government body do it. So we're going a little bit over time. Sorry about that. My name is Mark Gale, CEO at Charleston Orwig. Questions, follow-up information, mark.g@charlestonorwig.com. Thank you for tuning in today. And until next time, we'll let you know when we're going to have the next 5 in 15. It'll be 4 or 5 weeks from right now. Have a great day.